So we've been talking about renunciation. And when we were young, I was thinking about this. When we were young, we were taught not to do certain things, not to be disrespectful to others, or to other forms of life like animals or insects. But when I was young, I was taught a lot about what not to do, even though I saw adults doing those very things, right? Do as I say, not as I do. We were schooled and disciplined by parents and elders about right and wrong. The wrong we were to renounce. We were to say a hard no, not because it was bad, but because it caused harm, because we'd be perceived by others as untrustworthy, as unkind, as greedy, stingy, insensitive. But in Buddhism, we're invited to learn for ourselves what causes trouble, what causes pain, what causes suffering to us and to others, and to learn how to let go of those things. We learn that when we hold on to an item or a person, an experience or a habit, we suffer because nothing lasts, nothing stays the same. We learn to renounce holding on and learn the art of letting go. Now, I'm dating myself with this song, and I don't even like this song, but it's a song that kept coming to my mind all week since we've been talking about renunciation. Paul Simon, 50 Ways to Leave a Lover. Oh my gosh. But think about this. Slip out the back, Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. Just get yourself free. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss muss. Just drop off the keys, Lee, and get yourself free. Well, the idea of getting ourselves free is a good idea. I'm not necessarily suggesting those ways, but the idea that it is about letting go of the things that we hold on, letting go of unhelpful habits. And sometimes unhelpful habits will just wear themselves out, right? Like our childhood toys. And we don't have to do anything about that. We just, no real discernment. It just, we realize that they were good at the time, but we've outgrown them now. It's just a natural moving on, a natural letting go. And this is also called disenchantment. It's a good word. It's a word that's often used in the teachings, disenchantment, a natural turning away from something that previously enticed or enchanted us. But other habits are not so easy to let go of, like anxiety and worry, for example. Now, I have a long relationship with these habits, actually, and it's taken me many years to be able to let go of the habit of anxious worrying. Seeing it wasn't enough. I knew I was a worrier, but really, why stop? It seemed like natural to me, like something that was actually a part of me, a part of my personality. Well, letting go is a process. And it starts with noticing the way something so seemingly innocuous causes harm. Now, it took a long time, and it took careful attention to notice how charged up my system was when I got to worrying. It took a long time because it was so ingrained in me that I didn't think about it. It didn't seem like a big deal. And the longer the habit is in place, well, the more normalized it becomes for us, the more habituated we are to being in its presence. It feels a part of us. So it took many times of being in worry, in the experience of worrying, and noticing and feeling what that felt like, feeling my heart racing, like it was coming out of my chest, feeling the sweaty armpits and the tightness of my body. It's uncomfortable. And noticing and feeling the franticness with which my mind kept scrambling around worrisome ideas, and then problem solving for these hypothesized dreaded experiences. Yeah, that's what it looked like. And it took many times of being in that state of noticing that I was worrying to say to myself, holy smokes, this feels awful. This really does feel oppressive, actually painful. It's shortening my life. It's sucking the life out of me, right? That didn't happen. That didn't register right away. It took time to register. And then slowly, after years of practice, after years of noticing worry, feeling its effect, and then unhooking from it, after thousands of times of interrupting it and reorienting towards something wholesome, well, I'm happy to report that it doesn't arise as much. In fact, hardly at all these days. And I used to go to bed worrying at night, and I would wake up in the middle of worrying since I was a kid. I was always afraid of doing something wrong, of hurting someone, of getting into trouble. Well, these were the things I renounced. I didn't want to feel any of that. But I was never taught to stop and to really feel those effects, to feel the effects of what I was doing, and to use that information to entrain the heart towards goodwill and well-being. This is what the Buddha taught. Ehipassiko, come and see for yourself. Pay attention and start to notice cause and effect. Right? When I worry, my heart races, my body tightens, and my mind goes into a frenzy. This is a picture of dukkha, of suffering. Maybe it's not immediately life-threatening or imminently life-threatening, but it is definitely wearing away at health and well-being. And seeing the suffering and then tracing it back to its cause, well, this is how I started practicing letting go of worry. I had to trace it back to notice the worry was happening, and then I could begin to unhook from it. How? Well, on and off the cushion, I began to pay attention to where the mind wandered off to. When it started worrying, I labeled worry. I literally put a label up there that said worry. And I'd put a star around that because that was really important. That little moment of recognizing worry, I was not lost in it. That's a very important moment. Good job, Susan. So I put a star there, and then I take a breath, let go of the worry, and instead I would come back inside, back into the body and into the present moment. And I would stay there and unwind the physical correlates of worry. Again, not once, not twice, but thousands of times, unhooking from the worry and coming in and unwinding from the physical correlates of worry. Breathing, however the body needed to breathe to let go of, say, the threadiness of the breath, or the racing of the heart, or the tight body and agitated mind. Watching over this process kept the mind also focused on something far more wholesome than worrying. Now the mind was focusing on kindness, on compassion, on feeling back into ease of well-being. This was useful, right? I'm giving the mind something far more useful to focus upon than the worry. Mind wants to wander away, and you gently come back and invite it back in to unwind. This is an example of letting go of the unwholesome, of an unwholesome state that causes pain in the body, in the heart, and in the mind. And in this case, letting go of what what harms Susan is really a good thing. It's a wise action. Depriving Susan of the habit of worry saves her from feeling the distress. A wise move, indeed. And it was done through mindfulness, actually, through paying closer attention to when the mind wandered away into that unwholesome mind state and gently bringing it back. And over time, doing this enough times, it becomes less problematic. It starts to fall away. It starts to loosen the bind. It doesn't grip me quite as much. Letting go of worry required waking up and seeing the harm that it was causing me many, many times. To see it and withdraw unwise attention, place attention on a more useful object, wisely watching over the unwinding of the body, of the breath, of the heart and the mind as it comes back and feels more comfortable. It's a process. The organism needs time, especially to unwind from habits that have hardened over many years and lots of repetitions. But we can do this. We all can do this. And all of us have these unwholesome practices, these unwholesome habits that we do that cause us harm, that don't feel good in our bodies. And we know they don't feel good. And the practice is inviting us to feel that, to let that register so that we can begin to drop the hot potato. So we can begin to make a new move and move toward less suffering and more ease of well-being. This is what renunciation is about, letting go of the unwholesome, letting go of the stuff that causes us harm. And that's no longer necessary. That's now just extra baggage. We don't need it, but we carry it anyway. We're learning to let go of all of that as much as we can. We can do this. It's for our well-being. It's for our well-being. All right. So now let's practice that a little bit in our meditation. Let's practice letting go of unwholesome thoughts, right? Letting go of the mind just kind of wandering away and bringing it back, tethering it back to the present moment, to the body breathing, to right here. Okay,